Good evening from the State of Kuwait. Welcome to the 7 o'clock news for Friday, the 1st of May 2015. I am Dalia Badran with the headlines for tonight. The representative of His Highness the Prime Minister affirms Kuwait keenness to take part in Expo Milano 2015. Saudi ground forces repel a border attack by Houthi militias who were backed by brigades in Najran province. NATO's top commander says Russia may be taking advantage of a recent lull in fighting in eastern Ukraine to prepare for a new military offensive. The death toll from Nepal's earthquake rises past 6,200 as fresh aftershocks prevent survivors from returning to their homes. Hello and welcome. Representative of His Highness Sheikh Jaber al-Mubarak al-Hamad al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, and the Minister of Information, Minister of State for Youth Affairs, Sheikh Salman Sabah al-Salim al-Mahmoud al-Sabah, arrived in Italy last night to take part in Expo Milano 2015. Upon arrival, Sheikh Salman al-Mahmoud said that taking part in the global 6 months event stresses the vision of Kuwait's leadership topped by His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah al-Ahmad al-Jaber al-Sabah and His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf al-Ahmad al-Jaber al-Sabah to offer Kuwait as a major partner in international events and affirm its position as an inter-humanitarian work center. Sheikh Salman al-Mahmoud said that Expo Milano 2015, which is held under the theme feeding the planet, energy for life, offers a humanitarian and development message that aims at achieving global aspirations and greater good. He added that this is the same message Kuwait bears under the wise leadership of His Highness Emir, the humanitarian leader who spares no effort to deliver it for the good of humanity. The Minister of Information, Minister of State for Youth Affairs, said the Kuwaiti Pavilion themed Challenge of Nature shows how the Kuwaiti made the desert inhabitable and continue to do so using education, technology, science and renewable energy to establish a modern, vibrant and growing community which can contribute to global development and to feeding the world. The aim of the pavilion is to present the extraordinary mix of culture and tradition, as well as the contemporary and scientific aspects which form the foundation of Kuwaiti culture. The major global commercial fair Milan Expo 2015 today opened in northern Italy with food as the theme. Italy hopes the fair will be a big money spinner as 10 million tickets have been sold already for the 6 months event. Representatives of 145 countries are in Milan for the fair, which boasts 54 national pavilions at a sprawling site. The food theme focuses on nutrition and combating hunger globally, but it is also a showcase for Italian cuisine. Italy's Prime Minister Matteo Renzi welcomed participants during a speech at the official opening ceremony. Kuwait Chamber of Commerce and Industry recently hosted New Zealand's Minister of Trade, Tim Grosser, and his delegation to expand the bilateral trade relations between the two countries. The last meeting between the KCCI and New Zealand trade delegates was in April 2010. This meeting was held on the sidelines of New Zealand Prime Minister John Key's visit to Kuwait as he tours the GCC. Reporter Badri Al-Saleh brings us the report.
The GCC is New Zealand's 5th largest export destination, with two-way trading standing at $4.8 billion total last year. New Zealand now sells to the Gulf states combined more than it does to the United Kingdom, its original long-standing top trader.
We discussed and talked about enhancing the trade relationship between the two countries, and we think there is a lot of opportunities in New Zealand for the Kuwaiti businessmen and Kuwaiti companies to do business, especially in food products. New Zealand is almost one of the biggest exporters of halal meat and dairy products. And we think the Kuwaiti companies could really whom they are associated with food and milk and everything, they could really enhance the trade between the two countries.
GCC and New Zealand import-export demand contrasts complement each other. The Gulf states sit on top of an estimated one-third of the world's oil reserves, have less than 1.5% arable land, and import up to 90% of its food. Contrary to New Zealand, a country that imports the vast majority of its oil and gas needs, and nearly 50% of the country's land is used for agriculture, exporting more than 90% of these products.
This is the last leg in a trip the Prime Minister, myself as the Minister of Trade, and my business delegation have made to the Gulf states. We started in Dubai. Yesterday we were in Riyadh. We met King Salman. And today we're here in Kuwait and going home tomorrow. So it's been great to come to the Chamber of Commerce to meet business leaders from Kuwait and see if we can build our relationship in the future between our two countries.
In 2014, New Zealand's total trade with Kuwait exceeded $567 million. Exports were $473 million. Imports totaled $483 million, with crude oil being the major product imported. The visiting delegation hopes this meeting will expand the total for next year. At Kuwait Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I'm Badriya Saleh reporting for the English News.
Thank you, Badriya. A signing ceremony recently took place between His Excellency Douglas Silliman, U.S. Ambassador to Kuwait, and Khalifa Hamada, Undersecretary of the Ministry of Finance at the Ministry of Finance. The signing ceremony between both parties is an agreement implementing the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, or the FATCA, in Kuwait. FATCA introduces reporting requirements for foreign financial institutions with respect to certain accounts held by U.S. taxpayers. And reporter Ghanwa Jabouri attended the ceremony and has the following report.
The Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, or FATCA, is a U.S. law which requires banks and financial institutions to share and exchange information to the Treasury, information about accounts they hold that belong to U.S. citizens whose income earnings exceed USD $50,000 in any given year.
First of all, it is a great happy with the process of reaching an agreement on the FATCA, the details of which the Undersecretary laid out. The Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act is another example of the strong cooperation between the United States and the government of Kuwait to develop and coordinate our economies. And we welcome the commitment of the government of Kuwait to intensify our cooperation to prevent or to improve international tax compliance. Today's signing marks a significant step forward in our country's efforts to work together to combat offshore tax evasion, an objective that mutually benefits our countries. FATCA introduces reporting requirements for financial institutions with respect to accounts held by U.S. taxpayers, and by working together with the government of Kuwait and Kuwaiti financial institutions to detect, deter, and discourage offshore tax abuse through increased transparency and enhanced reporting, we hope to build a stronger, more stable, and more accountable global financial system.
Speaking at the ceremony, His Excellency Douglas Silliman, U.S. Ambassador to Kuwait, noted that FATCA is another example of the strong and enduring ties that bind the Kuwaiti and U.S. economies together.
Well, I don't focus on the Kuwaitis that have U.S. citizenship. We are very specified that any individual has registered as a U.S. citizen. So if the Kuwaiti registered as a Kuwaiti, he will be Kuwaiti. So there is no any penalties on the companies because my customer registered as a Kuwaiti. So this is the concept. on that.
FATCA applies to banks, financial firms and insurance companies.
The United States of America has reached a final agreement with the State of Kuwait regarding FATCA. From the Ministry of Finance, I'm Gemma Jabari reporting to you for the English News.
Thank you, Qanwa. Saudi Defense Ministry said the Saudi-led coalition succeeded in repelling attacks from the Houthi rebels and their allies near the border of Najran province. In a statement, the ministry said that after clashes between Saudi forces and the rebels erupted on the border, the coalition staged strikes against the rebels who were targeting Saudi border posts and checkpoints. The Interior Ministry said that 3 Saudi soldiers were killed in the clashes, while dozens of Houthi fighters were also killed. Rebels and the Syrian regime army fought fierce battles in Latakia province overnight, close to al-Assad family's home after weeks of insurgent gains in the country's northwest. Rebels seeking to topple the regime have in the past sought to bring their 4-year-long insurgency close to coastal areas in government-held Latakia. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights Monitoring Group said the Latakia battle started with an army offensive on Thursday backed by local militias aimed at pushing the insurgents out of the province in order to advance on captured areas of neighboring Idlib. The observatory said at least 5 insurgents were killed and an unidentified number from the pro-government side. 2 rebel sources said the fighting in Latakia was near the mountains of Jabal al-Akrad, close to some of the highest peaks in Syria, including Al-Nabi Yunus, that is close to Qardaha, hometown of the Assad family. In his first visit, Nikolai Mladinov, who replaced Robert Seri as UN peace envoy in February, arrived in the Gaza Strip and delivered a speech on Thursday urging Palestinians to unite and Israel to lift its 8-year blockade. On the other hand, Israeli authorities started to ease entrance restrictions, allowing truckloads of goods to enter the besieged territory. More with Majd al-Wahidi from Gaza.
Nikolai Mladinov, the United Nations envoy for the Middle East peace process, arrived in the Gaza Strip and delivered a speech in his first ever visit to the besieged coastal enclave. Mladinov was recently appointed by the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. In his first speech, the top UN official called for an end to Israel's blockade and urged Palestinian factions to shun their differences.
And let me say from the very beginning that we in the United Nations mission believe that there is one Palestinian entity, there's one Palestinian state, there's one Palestinian government, there's one authority that speaks on behalf of all the people of Palestine. I came yesterday to Gaza to acquaint myself with the situation here, to meet the various political entities, the government representatives, the civil society, the business community, and to identify how best can the United Nations contribute both to the reconstruction effort, but also to the effort to strengthen the unity of Palestine.
As Palestinian civil society, we met with the new UN Special Envoy to the Middle East, and we discussed with him the current situation in Gaza Strip, mainly the Israeli continuous blockade and its severe consequences, and we called him in order to work hard to pressure Israel to lift the siege totally in order to enter all the needed materials to start the reconstruction of Gaza Strip.
Meanwhile, Israeli authorities allowed 700 truckloads of goods to enter Gaza through the Kerem Shalom crossing. The convoy included construction materials for internationally funded projects, fuel and other materials to improve the infrastructure. On the other hand, both Israeli and Palestinian sources confirmed that 15 fishing boats confiscated in recent years by Israeli authorities have been returned. This was the first time Israel has given back Palestinian fishing vessels. Civil society organizations and fishermen union demanded again the return of dozens more and to put an end to Israel's continuous attacks on local fishermen.
Israeli government decided today to release 15 boats belonging to the Palestinian fishermen. At the same time, they allowed to 700 trucks to enter Gaza. These trucks carry a lot of raw materials and consumption commodities. I believe these kind of issues, it came in order to convince international community that the Israelis started to facilitate some things regarding the siege.
Almost a year ago, Israel's summer war in Gaza led to massive destruction and displacement. Palestinian internal conflicts have made things even worse. Israel's decision to allow construction materials enter Gaza can be seen as a positive development. However, Gazans believe that nothing will radically change unless Israel lifts the blockade and allows the formation of a peaceful and independent Palestinian state. Majd Haidi, Kuwait TV, Gaza.
Thank you, Majd. In Iraq, a wave of bombing struck the capital Baghdad overnight, killing at least 21 people and wounding scores others. No group immediately claimed responsibility for the attacks, but Baghdad and its surroundings have seen near daily bombings, mostly targeting the country's security forces, even as authorities struggle to win back territories captured by the Daesh group. The wave of bombings came just hours after the head of the European Union's humanitarian aid department warned that the situation in Iraq was deteriorating rapidly while the world was preoccupied with crises elsewhere. Marking a huge success in Operation Khyber, 2 Pakistani security forces have killed at least 5 terrorists today in Tira Valley of the Khyber tribal region. Meanwhile, during the last 24 hours, intense fighting at least 27 militants were killed as the security forces captured terrorist strongholds of Sandapal, Tordara, Kondavala and Merda Kelai. The targets of the latest airstrikes were houses occupied by militants associated with outlawed terrorist organizations. NATO's top commander said Russia's military may be taking advantage of a recent lull in fighting in eastern Ukraine to lay the groundwork for a new military offensive. U.S. Air Force General Philip Breedlove, the NATO Supreme Allied Commander, said Russian forces had been seeking to reset and reposition while protecting battlefield gains, despite a fragile ceasefire agreed in February. The Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, or the OSCE, which is monitoring the ceasefire, says the violence is down markedly since the accord was signed in Minsk, Belarus in February. But the United States says Russia now has its largest forces on the border since October and has deployed additional air defense systems, the biggest number since August. Breedlove said Russia was seeking to tighten its grip over separatist fighters, bolstering its command and control. He acknowledged he could not predict Moscow's next move, but warned about Russia's ongoing actions.
Russia is blatantly attempting to change the rules and principles that have been the foundation of European security for decades. The challenge posed by a resurgent Russia is global, not regional, and enduring, not temporary. The situation on the ground in eastern Ukraine is volatile and fragile, and we remain convinced the best way to bring the conflict to an acceptable, lasting solution is through a political settlement, one that respects state sovereignty and territorial integrity.
The death toll from Nepal's devastating earthquake rose steadily past 6,200 today, as fresh aftershocks and the stench of rotting bodies made it hard for nervous survivors to return to their homes. Disposal of the hundreds of bodies still being found 6 days after the 7.9 magnitude quake, which devastated the Himalayan nation, was becoming a problem for officials. Aid was slowly beginning to reach remote towns and villages nestled in the mountains and foothills, but it is still difficult for residents to return to their homes. According to the United Nations, 600,000 houses have been destroyed or damaged. As an annual tradition, the Bashair al-Khair Society held an honoring ceremony for the journalists and media members as a gesture of appreciation for their exerted efforts in delivering the message of the society to the community. Bashair al-Khair Society was established with the aim of fighting the problem of drugs in the Kuwaiti society, which turned to be a very critical and threatening issue that affect the youth in the most negative way. Our colleague Heba Abdurrahman was there and has this report.
The head of the board of directors of Bashair al-Khair Society, Sheikh Abdulhamid Liblali, affirmed that according to the latest statistics, 88 young Kuwaitis die every year because of the drugs, in addition to the fact that 90% of cases received by the society for the rehabilitation and treatment are the abusers of one of the most dangerous kinds of drugs, who are provided daily to the society because of the drug that has spread alarmingly within the Kuwaiti society. This came during a media and journalists honoring ceremony which was recently held at the headquarters as an annual tradition done by the society. He added that the activity of the society is purely voluntary in order to serve the country, where it's not working only on the rehabilitation of Kuwaitis only, but there is also some activities provided by the society for all categories of entrants, whether Arab or foreign, indicating that the drug cartels of commerce is seeking as if they were in a war to kill our young people. Al-Bilali said that most who think that they are far from the danger of drugs are illusions, and this is through their work in this field for 22 years. They realize that no one is safe from this danger. The society is an association to help drug addicts working on the treatment of drug addiction. According to the theory of faith, the use of returned to stop addiction. It was established in the year 1993 for the treatment and rehabilitation of drug addicts in Kuwait. The society has been successfully in treating many cases of addiction and returned a lot of addicts to their families as good citizens, considered Oman's association of the most important entities that contributed to the Kuwaiti community service. From the headquarters of the society in Qurtuba area, I am Heba Abdurrahman reporting for English News.
Kuwait Science Club concluded the 23rd Cars Mechanical Competition and Traffic Regulations in cooperation with the Ministries of Education and the Ministry of Interior, and the participation of 396 students, the 3,996. The event was attended by the Assistant Undersecretary of the Ministry of Traffic, Major General Abdullah Al-Mhanna, who honored the winning schools. Nurhan Al-Alfi was there and brought this report.
Under patronage of the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Interior, Sheikh Mohammed Khalid Al-Hamad Sabah, who was represented by Assistant Undersecretary of the Ministry of Traffic, Major General Abdullah Al-Mhanna, Kuwait Science Club concluded the 23rd celebration of Cars Mechanical Competition and the Traffic Regulations in cooperation with the Ministries of Education and Interior.
Actually, they have a good challenge in many different subjects for the traffic law and the mechanical activity. And today we have give the certificate and the trophy and the cups for the winner in this day.
The General Al-Mhanna stressed that the traffic sector will continue supporting for each approach that aims to enrich the traffic awareness and support the traffic culture, because, as Al-Mhanna said, that it is their pleasure to support innovative ideas posed by scientific club on the traffic issue, and he added that they will certainly make use of them.
We are from Jabri High School. We're so happy we won the first place, and we're so proud to present our high school. It was so useful to know how to change and replace the car tires and how to fix the cars when we are trouble.
We are students from the Imam Malik School, and we came to this competition and had the best timing, and had the first place.
Alhamdulillah that we got the first place and the best score, 80 from 80. All that is from Allah's giving. Alhamdulillah.
We represent the Farounia School for Girls, and we were so excited to join this competition, and we took the first place.
Yes, I think we took the first level because we cooperate with others, and we saw the first people in the place.
And we thank the scientific club for the support it gave us.
At the end of the festival, they honored the organizers of the competition and the winning schools. Also, General Ahmed Al-Manfouhi honored the representative of the sponsor of the event, Assistant Under Secretary of the Ministry for Traffic, General Abdullah Al-Mahanna. The main aim of CARS mechanical competition is to stop and prevent CARS accident phenomena in order to save our precious lives and souls. From Kuwait Science Club, I am Nurhan Al-Alfi reporting for the English News.
Thank you, Nurhan. For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. Before we end, here is a quick reminder of today's headlines. The representative of His Highness the Prime Minister affirms Kuwait keenness to take part in Expo Milano 2015. Saudi ground forces repel a border attack by Houthi militias who were backed by brigades in Najran province. NATO's top commander says Russia may be taking advantage of a recent lull in fighting in eastern Ukraine to prepare for a new military offensive. The death toll from Nepal's earthquake rises past 6,200 as fresh aftershocks prevent survivors from returning to their homes.